For centuries, prophets and astrologers have emerged with strange warnings about the fate of humanity. Among them, none stands out more than Nostradamus, the 16th century French seer who is believed to have foreseen some of the most pivotal moments in history, from the rise of Hitler to the death of Queen Elizabeth II, and even the global pandemic. And yet, what concerns many people today is not what has already happened, but what Nostradamus wrote about the future, specifically the year 2025. According to longtime researchers of his ancient manuscripts, this year is believed to mark a period of profound instability, politically, environmentally, spiritually, and globally. So what exactly did he predict? Let's uncover it together in today's video. So fasten your seatbelt as we dive into today's mystery. But first, you'll have incredible luck if you like and subscribe before this video ends. For more than 4 centuries, the prophetic verses of Nostradamus have continued to stir up debate. Some have dismissed him as a dreamer lost in the superstitions of the Middle Ages, while others have come to regard him with reverence because many of his predictions have undeniably come true. In one of his most famous quatrains, he wrote of a city that shall burn in 66, and the queen shall lose her throne. In 1666, a great fire truly did engulf 3/4 of London. The blaze began in a modest bakery, and within days, it had turned the city to ash. The most striking part is that Nostradamus had written this prediction more than a century prior. Then came the 20th century, a time believed to have moved beyond superstition and mysticism, and yet his prophecies returned, shaking the world once again. Nostradamus is said to have predicted both world wars. One of his quatrains described 2 eagles locked in battle, blood staining the sky, and not long after, the world witnessed the rise of Adolf Hitler, a figure whom many scholars now believe to be the second Antichrist mentioned in Nostradamus's texts. His predictions cast a long shadow over modern-day tragedies, from the assassination of President John F. Kennedy to the 1986 Challenger shuttle disaster, and even the atomic devastation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Each time catastrophe struck, people reopened the ancient pages of Nostradamus and asked themselves, did he truly foresee it all? Even in the 21st century, as the world stepped into a digital age and science seemed to have erased the grip of superstition, Nostradamus continued to give us pause. Before Queen Elizabeth II passed away at the age of 96, the book Nostradamus, The Complete Prophecies for the Future, by author Mario Reading stated, "The Queen shall pass at the age of 96 around the year 2022. And then, as if on cue, her death sent sales of the book soaring, thousands of copies sold within days. Could these predictions simply be coincidences? Or are they evidence that some individuals truly possess the ability to see the future? In the manuscript Les Prophéties, published in 1555, Nostradamus once referred to a very old pope who would approach the final days of his life as the world descended into chaos and war. According to those who have studied his prophecies, the year 2025 may well be that moment. We have just witnessed the passing of Pope Francis, following complications from pneumonia and respiratory failure. And in that context, Nostradamus's words seem to echo hauntingly from the 16th century. The very old pontiff shall pass away. A middle-aged Roman shall be chosen in his place. People will say he weakened the papal seat, yet he shall reign long, with patience and silence. Nostradamus not only predicted the death of an aging pope, but he also implied that the successor would weaken the papal throne. Was he referring to a diminishing of Vatican influence, or was he alluding to a scandal so vast it would shake the faith of millions of followers? While no one can yet say for certain, the present-day reality suggests that the Church is facing multiple internal crises, from the steady decline in churchgoers across the Western world to deep divisions within the hierarchy over theological direction and the role of the papacy in the modern age. Within that context, the rise of a new pope cannot escape the heavy burden of expectation, nor the undercurrent of doubt. What is most notable is that Nostradamus's writing style has always been vague, filled with symbolism and veiled in riddle. But it is precisely this lack of clarity that has allowed each of his quatrains to take on a wide and almost eerie relevance, capable of being linked to events that unfold centuries later. And the truth is, the year 2025 is now witnessing a moment of transition within the church, while this prophecy resurfaces once more, unsettling the world all over again. It should be noted, however, that not every prediction unfolds in strict chronological order, and we must be cautious not to hastily assign every coincidence to prophecy. But for those who believe that history always leaves clues for what is to come, then what is happening at the Vatican right now may be the first bell toll, announcing a changing era, and possibly the beginning of something far more ominous soon to be revealed. If the Catholic Church is now standing at a critical turning point, then the British royal family too is trembling under the shadow of ominous signs, ones that Nostradamus once alluded to. A question that once seemed absurd is now becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Will King Charles III be forced to relinquish the throne? And if that happens, who will take his place? The answer Nostradamus gives is not Crown Prince William, as many might expect, but someone far more unexpected: Prince Harry. According to Les Prophéties, Nostradamus wrote, "The King of the Isles shall be cast down by an outside force. The successor shall be one who bears no mark of kingship." On the surface, this could be interpreted as a vague reference to turbulence within the British monarchy. But when viewed through the lens of recent events, these centuries-old prophecies suddenly take on an eerie quality, one that is unsettling in its precision. In early February 2024, Buckingham Palace officially confirmed that King Charles III was undergoing treatment for cancer. The news sent shockwaves through the nation and immediately sparked speculation about whether the monarch would soon step down from his role as head of the United Kingdom. In the midst of this, Nostradamus' verses were once again brought to the forefront, especially by author Mario Reading, who had written the complete prophecies for the future and who had previously predicted, with startling accuracy, the death of Queen Elizabeth II at the age of 96. Reading interpreted the line, "one who bears no mark of kingship," as possibly referring to Prince Harry, the second son of Charles, who had renounced his royal duties and moved to the United States to live a life independent from palace protocol. And it is precisely because of this break from royal tradition that he, quite literally, bears no mark of royalty, as the prophecy describes. At first glance, it seems implausible, but within the realm of prophecy, the line between the unthinkable and the possible has never been thinner. The criticisms aimed at the king and queen consort Camilla have not entirely faded, and if Charles's health were to decline to the point where he could no longer reign, Harry's sudden emergence could bring about a historic upheaval, unlike anything seen before in modern monarchy. Across every era, the royal family has served as a symbol of stability. But when that very symbol begins to falter, the prophecies of the 16th century no longer feel like mere legend. They become reminders that no power, no matter how sacred, can ever escape the hand of fate. Throughout the history of humanity, nothing has ever cast a longer shadow across the world than the specter of a global war. 2 world wars once engulfed an entire century in flames, leaving behind scars that have never fully healed on the map of human history. And yet, if Nostradamus was right, war may once again be quietly rising. And this time, it may begin in the East. In one quatrain written in the 16th century, the French prophet described how the red enemy shall grow pale with fear as the ocean roars like thunder. The words, though cryptic, have led many scholars to believe that the red enemy is a veiled reference to China, a nation long associated with the color red, and one that is now rapidly asserting itself as the new global superpower. And if the sea is where this conflict begins, then the mounting tensions in the South China Sea and around the Taiwan Strait are making that prophecy feel more relevant than ever. Recent geopolitical analyses have painted an increasingly grim picture. China has not only expanded its military presence in the region, but has also conducted intimidation-driven military exercises around contested waters. This growing assertiveness has raised alarms not just across the Asia-Pacific, but in the West as well, especially with NATO and the United States becoming ever more entangled in the matter. And when viewed through the lens of prophecy, the scenario of a violent clash between great powers no longer feels like a distant hypothesis. A war sparked by disputes over sovereignty, resources, or even simple strategic miscalculations could all serve as the kindling for a third world war. Nostradamus never explicitly wrote the phrase World War III, But he did warn of a conflict that stretches across the oceans, making mankind bow before the force of blood and fire. The Bible, too, seems not far removed from such prophetic tones. In the book of Revelation, a rider on a red horse is described as the one who brings war upon the earth. That image now echoes with chilling similarity to what the world appears to be witnessing today. Some theologians believe that these signs are not merely isolated events, but are instead a sequence of signals, indicators of the end times, a period in which dark forces will rise, when evil overwhelms truth and humanity faces its greatest trial. And even if we have not yet entered the heart of catastrophe, what is already unfolding should be enough to jolt us into reflection. We are now living in an era where a single wrong decision could lead to the loss of millions of lives and bring down a civilization that took centuries to build. In all of the world's great religions, the image of ultimate evil lingers like a persistent shadow. In Christianity, that figure bears a name that has sent shivers down the spines of generations: the Antichrist. And now, as world events grow more chaotic, as human hearts become more skeptical, and as the foundations of moral values begin to tremble at their core, many believe that the time of the Antichrist has arrived, just as Nostradamus foretold more than 5 centuries ago. In his quatrains, Nostradamus spoke of 3 Antichrists. The first 2, according to many scholars, were Napoleon and Hitler, 2 historical figures who plunged the world into cycles of fire, blood, and suffering. But what is most haunting of all is the emergence of a 3rd Antichrist, one who is said to bring about a level of destruction never before seen and to lead the world ever closer to the threshold of the end times. Who is this person? The prophecies never say directly, but the characteristics described: a man of great wealth, intelligence, and charisma, capable of manipulating and mesmerizing the masses with his words, have drawn public suspicion towards several prominent figures in today's political landscape. Yet perhaps the more unsettling question is not who the Antichrist might be, but rather when he will reveal himself and whether we will be clear-eyed enough to recognize him when he does. According to the prophecy of Nostradamus, the year 2025 marks the beginning of a time when nature no longer shows mercy to humankind. Nostradamus once wrote, "A great wave, bringing famine and death, shall sweep across the shore." In many places, farmland is no longer fertile. Flash floods and droughts have repeatedly disrupted global food supply chains, causing prices to soar and pushing poorer nations toward a level of famine not seen in decades. From Ethiopian farmers collapsing in dry, cracked fields to families in Florida being forced to evacuate as seawater floods their homes, these warnings are no longer just prophecy. They are now reality. And it isn't just the climate or the oceans. Nostradamus also referenced a catastrophic earthquake that would shake the world, bringing massive loss of life and widespread destruction. And as if to echo that vision, Myanmar recently endured a devastating earthquake on April 13th. It wasn't only Nostradamus who predicted a grim 2025. Baba Vanga, too, left behind prophecies that echo with similar unease about the same year. According to records of her visions, Baba Vanga foresaw a 2025 filled with chaos, a time when the global economy would face an unprecedented crisis. She spoke of a ballooning burden of debt, of a shift in global power from west to east, and of a world in which money would no longer be the sole force that determines the fate of nations. In light of ongoing geopolitical tensions, such as the conflict in Ukraine or the unresolved trade wars, these predictions seem far from unlikely in the months ahead. But Vanga's warnings weren't confined to the economy. She also predicted terrifying changes in nature. She claimed that the Earth's orbit will shift, triggering strange storms, prolonged droughts, and a sharp rise in extreme weather events. Her forecast closely mirrors the prophecy made by Tatsuki regarding the month of July 2025. If you're curious to revisit that vision, it's available in one of my earlier videos. Yet amidst these many dark forecasts, Baba Vanga also offered a glimmer of hope. She once spoke of a breakthrough in medicine, a new form of treatment for diseases once thought incurable, including cancer and Alzheimer's. And recently, reports that Russia has developed a cancer treatment vaccine have made her prophecy seem more plausible than ever. She also mentioned the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence and quantum computing, technologies that may completely reshape how humanity operates the world. Perhaps the predictions of Nostradamus and Baba Vanga leave us with more questions than answers. But whether their visions inspire fear or reflection, their purpose has never been to push humanity into darkness. On the contrary, they serve as a powerful reminder of responsibility, of awareness, and of the enduring need for belief. If what you've just heard made you pause for a moment to reflect on mysteries that transcend time and on warnings spoken centuries ago, don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to continue this journey with us as we explore forgotten predictions, hidden signals, and truths long buried, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We'll see you in the next story.